Welcome back, folks. Our friend Lance Roberson of plants.org is always helping us keep our plants happy and healthy with his gardening tips. Today we're talking about planting, though, for absolute beginners, and this was a special request from me because as much information as I've gleaned from you over the years, Lance, I do not know where to start. A lot of people kind of have plants moving, you know what I mean?
Sure.
They need to level up their game. I want to start at day one.
The first one is the hardest one, and it's the one that like your heart is always set on. It's you finally bought it, you got a little pot.
Yeah.
But I like to remind everyone, I grow a lot of plants. I've killed more plants than anyone watching this could possibly kill in their
Kept
lifetime.
a lot alive.
Killed a lot. So don't worry about killing your first plant, because that's the thing, is the plants want to survive too.
Okay.
So just finding the right plant is really the way to go. You need to know what you want or how much involved you want to be.
Yeah.
There's some stuff like cactus. We have, or succulents. We've got one succulent here. They're great. They're perfect for people who want to set a calendar thing that every 2 weeks I'll put a little water on it.
Okay.
Cactus isn't going to have a problem with long periods, even in the summer, where they just, a little water is great when they get it, but they don't have to have it. It's not something that you have to watch. So these, especially for new people that have never had a plant and don't want to be super active, succulents are a great way to go.
How am I killing my succulents?
Probably too much water.
Is it?
Yeah.
What about light? How much light? Because I think, well, no, I'm waiting a fair amount of time between, waterings, but I question whether or not they're getting enough light.
So think about it as the desert. The more sun they get, the better they're going to do, because that's what they're natural. There's no shade in the desert for any of these cactus.
Okay.
So give them as much sun as you can, and that will also help them dry out a little faster.
Good
And
point.
sometimes we think like, oh, it's been a long time. It's been 3 weeks. But inside, it may be a month or even more between cactus waterings. So they're really great if you don't want to do much, because they don't need much. They just kind of keep doing their thing.
Well, what if you want something that's more of a showpiece? Like there's this precious little lamb's ear. You've got a couple other options here on the table.
Yeah, lamb's ear is great because you've got some sensory to it. You can touch it. You can use them in salads. They're great. There's medicinal uses, and it's something in the mint family. And if you just go onto the internet and look at mint, more people try to get rid of them than try to have a problem. So they're really great for people that just hate plants and don't know what to do, or it's their first one. This is a great one because generally they just don't die.
They just don't. In fact, they might take something else over. Okay, what am I looking at here?
This is sweet potato.
Oh, no, is it really?
Yeah, so this is one we grow for the colorful leaves, so it's not going to be the best potato, but it is something that potato is the root, and it stores a lot of energy. So you can go really far in problem town before the plant is going to die because it's got all of the energy stored within its roots. So it's one I really like for especially first timers because it's easy to take care of. If it looks bad, cut it off. It'll grow back. It's a very fast grower.
A lot of forgiveness there. This, I think, is so cool because once we were looking at these plants, I was like, oh, that looks like a tiny little pepper. And that's what these are, right?
Peppers. Yeah, these are shishito peppers. So these are a Japanese style pepper. I really like peppers for your first plant because peppers grow peppers all summer long. And if there's a problem, you know what a pepper looks like. So just like this plant, there's a little pepper. When you think it's ready to eat, cut it off and eat it. It's a pepper. It's got some seeds in it, but it's a fruit. So it's going to come from the flowers. And you can see even on these little ones, there's a progression of a pepper that's coming close to be ready, and then a little tiny pepper behind it, and then a flower behind it that will become a pepper. So it's something that you really get something from the plant pretty often. So if you're not easily motivated by plants, getting peppers all the time is a good motivation to, keep it alive.
I agree. Okay, and there's something else that we can get something from. You brought a lemon tree in today.
Yeah, I brought a lemon. I brought Myers lemon. So I know, especially in the last few years, people have just tried to get away from citrus because they're worried about freezes. Myers lemon has been the best for freezes. We've had some even outside in pots that survive snowpocalypse. I'm not saying that everyone's going to survive every coldness, but they're really the easiest. You don't have to worry as much about, is it going to freeze? Do I need to bring it in and out? You really have to get into the teens or even lower than that for it to have a problem. And again, it's something that, who doesn't love lemons?
Yeah.
I mean, fruit is great from plants.
Limoncello could be coming from that plant. So there are some really wonderful things we can get from it. I'm glad that we have, like, for lack of a better term, crops.
Yeah.
Stuff that produces stuff.
It's a little bit of motivation because, again, sometimes it's hard. It's, like people want to plant a shrub because it's the normal plant and they're great, but it's just a shrub in your yard versus if you want to get your first plant, get something that gives back to you so that you can have a little plant relationship. It's fun.
That's sweet. Okay, I want to talk about care because all of these are sitting here in these lovely little pots right now, but I think they're probably largely intended to be outdoor plants, yes?
Sure. You could plant a lot of these inside. Granted, you would need a little bit more light, or more light would be better for all of these, but really think of pots more like what holds the dirt. The more dirt you have, the more water it can hold. So especially on plants like these, if you don't want to have to water a lot, or your peppers, you notice that like, oh, I'm really having to water them a lot in this little pot. If you put it in a bigger pot, you water it less often because the dirt will hold a lot more water. So certainly planting them in larger containers will do you some help, but you could grow all of these plants in these really small containers for a really long time.
Okay, before it would need to be.
Yeah, so you don't have to panic about, oh my goodness, I got a plant and now I have to buy a pot. Now
That's my
how much
first thought.
dirt do I need? I don't have an extra bag of dirt.
That's exactly how I think.
Yeah, so don't panic again. We're gonna grow these for a long time in nurseries in these little pots. You know, certainly the peppers, you could probably get some more peppers with a bigger pot, or you just have to do a little bit more watering, but really plants are pretty easy. Again, they want to live too. So
Sure. And so since they don't have a little pot, my first thought is always about drainage. So do I at least need to have a little saucer or something underneath there to pick up the water?
I like to have a saucer, especially if it gets really dry. That way the water can soak up the whole way through the plant. The danger with saucers, though, especially for first time, we put some water in there and people think you always need to have water. It needs to be constantly. More water or too much water kills more plants than too little.
That's crazy.
It's the strangest thing to tell people because people are always worried about how much do I water? I'm not watering enough. If I see 100 dead plants from people that submitted something to my website, 80 of them watered it too much. So it's something that, again, sometimes the plant leaves will wilt just a little bit, especially with stuff like the potatoes. They're great to have in mixed containers because they'll really show you when they need water and you'll know when everything might need water.
And then it'll start to perk back up a little bit more. Okay, Lance, I wish we could keep you all day. I'm going to bring you back from 102.
Good.
Thank you so much, guys. If you need help with a specific plant, you can reach out to Lance directly. Go to plants.org or check out his podcast, Good at Plants, Bad at Life.